What's up guys, welcome to Wasted Space, and as I'd been doing quite a lot of work in Space Engineers and I haven't shown anybody really what's been going on in my world for quite a while, I thought I'd do a quick tour around my current survival world and what we've got in here, tie it in a little bit with the latest patch because the most recent thing I've added to this world is a remote control turret, but moving on to that later. Just a little sort of flyby walk around of our world and what we've got in it. So this is the area that I think most people, if you've seen my previous videos, will recognise basically our spawn room and the first building that we built, and then through this corridor over here we go into the big deconstructing machine with the freaky gravity, which is designed to pull anything that drops in here down towards those collectors down the bottom. Now, also perhaps familiar from some of my other videos is what's around here, which is obviously the recharging station and recharging platform for the two modular ships here, and this is eventually going to be moved to somewhere a little bit more appropriate for the rest of the base, because I've slowly been clearing up out here, moving sort of the various modular parts inside, clearing all of this stuff out in order to move it all into the area that's just over there in the distance, but we'll get onto that in a second. This was from my solar powered video obviously, and down inside the asteroid, which is what that was all powering, has expanded a little bit. I have some big plans for what to do in here through the uranium once I get the time to get around to it. Basically this has been opened up into some sort of launch tunnel, and that is going to be the theme in there. I'm going to bore out a bunch of tunnels inside and then have ships and sort of other bits sitting ready to be launched out the sides of the asteroids. But then we'll move on to the newer areas. So I'll come to the turret last. First up, in here, I need to go over the hole. We now have a long connecting corridor that will take us through to essentially a little overwatch station that sits over the middle of the base. Allows you a little view outside. Same from upstairs, where we've got a couple of chairs where you can sit and watch, or more importantly sit and recharge. And then through into the new base proper. So this part is not completely done yet, but this room will eventually be our reactor room, and one thing you'll notice is there's no gravity here yet either. I haven't quite decided where I want it, but we're going to have a nice big main reactor sitting in the middle. Unfortunately, those 2,000 reactor components take a little while to build. Coming through here with a big main entrance where you can get sort of small wheeled vehicles in. My plan is also to introduce a bunch of wheeled vehicles to help get around this base, because I won't take those stairs. We'll take the this here, the main elevator, which at the push of this button can be used to raise and lower a ship down into what is now our main hangars. So not waiting for that to come all the way up, we can come down into the main hangar and machine room. So all of our refinery equipment is now moved down here. We have the 4 assemblers, 3 refineries, couple of blast furnaces, all hooked up to a huge cargo system, and that is constantly churning away. Down below will be our service network and more tunnels. This is sort of only just beginning to take shape, and will extend around here and then cut into the asteroid to join up with what I was mentioning earlier. And then we have the bit that's a lot more complete. So this is our main access corridor, and also our, I don't know what you want to call it, perhaps the Hall of Fame. So let me open a few of these hangar doors here. I think the first 3 have got ships in. And then we can bring out the contents. I wanted somewhere to go and store all the ships that no longer had any purpose, but at some point in the past had been our epic creations and had done so much work to help build the base. So a little display rack down the main corridor, and again, the idea is this will all be somewhere where you can drive around in a vehicle to get around fast. But yeah, and the last one is obviously a slightly bigger hangar where we can just display ships from past. And up here is back into the room with the nuclear reactor in. And if we continue along the main corridor here into the thing that's taken me most of the time so far and still isn't done, which will be our sort of main working yard where ships come in, out, everything really happens here, which is why we've got the big collector array on the bottom. Over here in this sort of lowered area, I'm eventually going to have a whole bunch of feet to hold our sort of large collection of ships in place when we're not actually flying them. A couple of new ships here as well people won't have seen, like a Bertha here, which is a combination of a big transport ship, but also good for sorting parts into small and big. Occasionally that's relevant. And that's the bit off the mining platform from the last video. I flew it back here to empty it. One of our older miners, the brutish welding machine that has done all this work, and the up-to-date, most recent small mining ship design that does huge ore runs. So that's kind of where we sit so far with the base progress. The only thing I am yet to show people is that turret I mentioned, and perhaps a little view from afar, because it's starting to take shape. I'd love some ideas if anyone's got any on what to do, like colours wise and paint job wise, because at the moment this is all very dark and bland. I haven't got around to doing much of the colour work on it, other than perhaps on some of the buildings that we initially built, which look like they need redoing. Missed a bit there. But yes, finally, up here was the thing I finished today, just to tie it in with the latest patch, which is my brother's been hassling me forever to put some sort of turret up here, and up until now turrets have not really worked particularly well, because you had to be in them to use them firstly, and also the whole rotor thing is always a bit dodgy unless you balance things very carefully. But I've finally got one that, well, first of all I think looks the business, but more importantly, thanks to the most recent additions to the game, works the business as well. So base comes under attack, doesn't matter where you are in the base, run up to your nearest control panel, access the turret, and then straight on defense, control. Then we can move into the camera, and we are now in control of the top base turret. And I've got two cameras, one either side of the main rocket launchers, and this could be used to defend, lock down the base should we ever come under attack. I should really have loaded it up with ammo so I could blow away this horrible respawn ship that for some reason hasn't despawned. And if I just fly out quickly, show you a little bit about how that was put together. It's pretty straightforward, but yeah, this is a small ship obviously, and it was built on top of the base and attached using a bunch of feet. And then in the center there we have a rotor that mains this bottom section. If he remembers to finish building it, this bottom section rotates the whole thing. And then in here on a small bit coming out the top is our up and down movement to enable it to tilt. And it is important that you do them this way round. If you do up and down first and then try and rotate on top, you will end up with something very, very unstable. Whereas this actually works pretty well for what it's supposed to be. If only there was somewhere easy nearby it to access it. There we go. Go back into the remote control, having seen it in action. And yeah, got a nice articulate movement that doesn't, if you have the rotors the other way around, then depending on which direction you are, you will be leaning at an angle when you try and rotate. Whereas like this, as you can see, we've got up and down is always straight up and down, left and right are always left and right, and you can combine the two to get good access of movement. The other way around, as you spin, you start leaning over as well. Thanks for taking a look, guys. This is just a really quick video to have a look around, where I'm at with my world at the moment, see if anyone's got any inspiration for me, see whether I've got anything that might be inspiration for anybody else. I certainly, I quite like that little turret design, and I'm quite fond of these little hangers that eject themselves. I'll put the workshop up. I put the world up on the workshop anyway, so people can take a look, but and see how things are made. These are primarily done by using blast doors. And yeah, hit me up in the comments below, let me know what you think of what we've created, whether or not you'd have done something different, and whether or not you've got any ideas for us. And of course, by all means, throw us out there what it is that you've done. I'd love to have a look around some other people's worlds as well. So thanks for watching, guys. If this video was interesting, helpful, whatever, hit that like button, really helps me and the channel out, and I will see you next time.